Hello! So, I've been gone for a couple weeks. I'm back now. I had some other gigs to take care of, and I want to make a short video today for my YouTube channel on invading. So, in this game I have pictured we have a large black area of influence, a framework, what's known as a moyo. And the moyo is also here for white on the upper side, the three lines here, and then the center territory. Now, in this particular game, we have to always evaluate if our moyo is bigger than our opponent's or not. And it's white to move. Well, it's black to move now. Let's say that black makes a move like this. If black makes a move like this, whose moyo is bigger, white or black? In this case, it actually is white that has the bigger moyo. And so white's okay without invading. However, in this game, Takao Shinji played this move. And this move actually makes it so that black has a bigger moyo, because if white backs off, you can see black's moyo is deeper. So after this move, white is compelled to invade. Why black can make this two-space jump is because there's not really a cut here. Black will just give up. Black will just give up the one stone. So, like this, it's okay. Black has a deeper moyo, and there's no worry about the cut. And if white tries a fancier way to cut, it leads to the same variation. Anything like this is more or less the same. So, white could try something like this, but even in this case, black's moyo is deeper. So, white has to invade. Now, here's where we get to the topic of today, which is how to invade a framework. Luckily, white already has like little seedlings, I call them, aji. Aji is translated from Japanese as taste, or in Go terms, it's a lingering potential. So there's a little bit of aji here in this stone, and some aji in this stone. Aji is what we want to use when we invade. We take stones that might look useless or somewhat dead, and we can often get a lot of forcing moves out of them. So first thing we look at is what aji do we have. Now the aji in the lower right was likely a probe played earlier, or it was a probe played earlier rather. So I can, earlier in the game, white was able to play this probe, and then black covered there. There's a few different types of black answers. Sometimes black can play like this, which leaves more weakness in the corner because white can play out at R3. In our actual game, covering at Q4 here leaves us the aji where we can play at A or B as a forcing move as white. So, in fact, that is the first move that white plays. White plays this forcing move here, and if black is going to crawl along, that's a little passive because then white can go ahead and live outright. White can live by playing something here first, or white can also live in the corner by playing like so. This is also a living group. So, what is black going to do? Black captures this stone here, which allows white another forcing move at A. So this is how the aji can come to life. So the next thing white does is plays here. Now this is another principle. So I always want to tell my students, first we play in an area where we have some aji or a probing move. We get a little bit of forcing moves. We play the kikashi. Kikashi is a forcing sequence. And then we play in an open area. Or we attach to a strong group. Now, we can look at the attachments in the lower right as the technique of attaching to a strong group. So attaching to a strong group is good because white often gets slightly stronger in the area, in the kikashi, the forcing moves, and black is already so strong that becoming marginally stronger is not of any significance. Playing in a very open area allows us to have more wiggle room. Also, this open area starts to aim at some aji. There's particular aji on this group here because we have cutting points at A, and there's one more very local, skillful play that we'll look at in a second, a tesuji. Tesuji is a very skillful finesse that is just right for the moment. So in this game, black chose to play here, which ruins white's moyo and makes this h4 stone kind of stranded. Now, I'm sure there are many Don players and Q players who would probably try to cap the white stone more directly, which is also a fine way of playing. But if white lives, and these are professionals, so black knows that white will live, the stone at h6 doesn't really affect the white moyo in the top. So black's strategy by playing this move here at L10 is that white has to still struggle to live, and once white's done living, at least black has ruined the moyo. Okay, so next, white plays another kikashi. Now black connects. Black doesn't capture because presumably that could leave another kikashi. And now white attaches. Now, when white attaches here, black draws back. Now, I'm sure there are many players who would think, oh, well, we should go ahead and cut, or we should go ahead and hane, because that keeps white separated from his group over O3 and P2. However, sometimes when we use cuts and hanes and we want to play really severe, it leaves us with cutting points of our own. And so this move becomes forcing, which is somewhat distasteful. And also, white now has cutting. But not just that, black can also try more complicated things such as crosscut. And crosscut starts to complicate the situation because white has to think about the O3 and P2 stones. Also now there's the two-space gap, which starts to become a little more glaring. And it's difficult for black to manage these two cut stones. So for that reason, if we want to be really severe, sometimes when we're trying to make a group live in our own territory, it's better to play extremely solid. It gives white less wiggle room, and as the group develops, we can be more severe. Now, here's where white misses an opportunity. White plays this move, and I'm just going to show the sequence that ensues. This is how the game played. Black now cut, white cuts, which gives black has to save that stone. And then white can play this sequence of hane and connect in sente. Because now there's the weakness at L5 and the hane over at G3. So white's going to have to protect, black's going to have to protect one of those. Then white goes for this corner. And black plays like so. And now that makes white alive. Now, once white's done living, black plays up here. And this is actually a winning game for black because what white has done, he's routed out a huge amount of territory. It was a good invasion, and for maybe many Q players, this would be a huge success because we've established about maybe 6 to 8 points on the lower side. These coves will eventually be taken, and there's only going to be at the end game maybe 1 or 2 points here, 1 point there, 2 points here. So we're looking at between 6 points to 8 points maximum, probably less, at the lower side. And black has cut off a large chunk of territory here, some here. Black retained the initiative, and black has erased the entire center potential for white. Black still has the upper right corner, which white then only has this lower right territory and the left side territory, which is not quite enough to win the game. So indeed, black does win this game. So what could have white done better? So attaching is a good way to make shape, but here white misses this very crucial point. Now this point uses the aji of the D3 stone, and we want to use all the aji we can when making an invasion. So at this point, black is not allowed to go ahead and cut off that stone, even though black would really like to do this. There's a cutting point here, and then this cutting point if black doesn't answer. And then once this happens, that black 7 stone group is dead. There's no way to break out here. Also, like this doesn't break out either. So, plain and simple, black would have to do this, and that would be devastating again, because still these 6 stones on the outside are not yet alive. And trying to bring them to life would only cause even more heartache, and then white's taken a huge chunk of territory, maybe 20 points in the lower left. And there's still some aji here, so this would be a failure for black. So when white makes this move at f2, black is forced to do this. Now when white plays here, the j3 stone cannot live. It cannot live in this way. And like this, white still has to be a little clever, but white can still kill it like so. And in this way, white kills it. This is better because now black has to defend that group again. So here white has a lot more territory. Let's compare this with the actual game result that we showed. So take a little mental picture of this, and now this. In this, the actual game, there's about 20 points in the center here for black. And it's black's sente at the end of the sequence, and black uses that to reduce. Now if we go to the end of this sequence, it's white's move. It's white's sente, and black doesn't have any points in that central area. Yes, black has a bigger corner, but it's also white's sente. So white can use that sente to continue to develop the center or close off the upper side. And in this way, white has a winning game. So, to summarize, when we're looking for invasions, we look at our 2 stones of aji. We want to squeeze every bit out of them as we can. Look at them as ways of really forcing our opponent when our opponent would rather not be forced. So, first thing we do is force our opponent. Now we could force our opponent twice here, Then we invade in an empty area. Near a weak group is very good. This group has some potential Aji and weakness, and also near a weak stone. Now, a lot of players will initially try to do things like attach to a weak stone. This is not the best idea. We often want to play near a weak stone. You should see something like this is better because now we can use attachments. If we go directly against the stone, we don't get everything we can. So better here, we have an escape route. Once black makes it harder for us to escape, now we try an attachment. See if he's going to leave us any cutting points. When black is solid and leaves no cutting points, then we squeeze the other Aji from this side. And now we link up to our forcing move stones. And in this way, we've created the best hopes for a successful invasion. So I hope that's a good lecture. It gives us some ideas to think about how to play lightly. This falls under the topic of sabaki. Sabaki is making shape when it would otherwise be difficult to make shape. So here's how to make a nice invasion in your opponent's area. Find some probing moves earlier in the game, save them, use them as Kikashi, play in an open area, then play your forcing moves from your probes, and then push yourself to make life. So that's my tips for invading a moyo, and thanks for watching.